Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Marriage is one of the most intimate and emotionally fulfilling relationships one can have, when it's built on mutual love, respect, and understanding. However, if your partner is a narcissist, the dynamics can be incredibly toxic, draining, and confusing. There are many kinds of people in the world, but perhaps few or none so maligned as the pathologically narcissistic person. Often seen as cold, hurtful, sadistic, cruel, and self-centered, they tend to be terrible partners and even worse parents. These individuals were never built to be caretakers, lacking the ability to love in the way most people do. Narcissists often mask their self-centeredness with charm and grandiosity, making it difficult to recognize the patterns of manipulation and control until you're deeply entangled. And if you're listening to this, it's probably because you're worried you may be living with someone who fits this description. You have my deepest sympathies. By now, you've probably come to the painful realization that the person you thought you were in love with is an illusion, and sadly, does not exist. It's imperative that you accept that, if you haven't already. You cannot change them. Your narcissistic partner either cannot or will not change. It's just the way it is. So if you're wondering whether you might be married to a narcissist, here are 8 key signs to watch for. Number 1. Does your partner seem to be two different people? They may be charming and well-behaved in public, but turn into a vicious, cruel, and sadistic person at home. If this sounds familiar, you might be living with a pathologically narcissistic individual. Narcissists are deeply concerned with their public image, often coming across as model citizens. However, behind closed doors, they can be unpleasant, nasty, hysterical, or even physically abusive, sometimes with no clear reason. This behavior often surfaces when they don't get their way, or don't receive the admiration they believe they deserve. Narcissists also react with intense rage when criticized, or when they think they've been criticized. This is also one of the ways you can differentiate narcissism from healthy self-esteem. A person with healthy self-esteem can laugh off, ignore, or logically assess criticism, because they feel secure in themselves. Narcissists, however, are unable to do this, because of their deep-seated insecurity. They can turn on you in an instant, like a snake, lashing out with cruel and hurtful words. Their anger is explosive and way out of proportion to the situation at hand. Nobody sees this side of this person, except you and your children. To the outside world, they show the charming side you initially fell in love with. Unfortunately, you've come to realize that's not who they really are. Now, there's also another type of narcissist, the covert narcissist. This type of narcissist seeks sympathy rather than admiration. Instead of appearing as the good person in public, they act like a helpless victim, weak, sad, and pitiful. No one would suspect this seemingly vulnerable person of being abusive, but behind closed doors, they are. Number 2. Does your partner try to turn other people against you? Now this is a key trait of pathologically narcissistic individuals. They lie about you to your family, friends, and even to your children. They spread malicious rumors, try to embarrass you, or reveal your personal secrets, all in an attempt to turn other people against you. Now don't get this confused with someone just confiding in a friend or talking about an argument they had. Here we are talking about outright lies. And this is because narcissists see you as a threat to their attention from others, so they try to tarnish your reputation to prevent you from receiving the love, admiration, and attention that they crave for themselves. Narcissists are envious of any attention anyone else is given, because deep within them, they know that other people are better than them. Despite all of their outward arrogance, deep down, a pathologically narcissistic person believes that they are a bad person, who doesn't deserve love, admiration, and respect. Because of their own insecurities, narcissists want to destroy your good qualities and bring you down to their level. And by doing so, they feel better knowing that, although they don't deserve these things, they can convince others that you don't either. Now, this is particularly damaging when children are turned against a parent, simply because the other parent can't handle the love the children show to that parent. Now, the more subtle or covert type of narcissist might not manipulate others in such overtly hostile ways. Instead of spreading malicious lies, they might fabricate stories to portray themselves as the victim and you as the abuser. Now, don't be deceived. This isn't a case of misunderstanding, or a pitiable person who just needs love and is acting out. Covert narcissists are fully aware that you're not abusive. They want other people to think you are, because they want those people to dislike you and feel sorry for them. And make no mistake about it, this behavior is abuse. Number 3. Does your partner gaslight you or engage in mind games? Gaslighting is a classic manipulation tactic used by pathologically narcissistic individuals, and they are exceptionally good at it. This tactic aims to make you doubt your own reality, often because the narcissist wants to avoid accountability for their actions. By keeping you off balance, they maintain control over you and the situation. Narcissists use gaslighting to manipulate and dominate conversations, denying things they've said or done, and accusing you of being confused or overly sensitive. Examples of gaslighting phrases include, "I never said that," "You're imagining things that didn't happen," or "You're just trying to hurt me." It requires immense strength to endure constant gaslighting, as this subtle form of abuse gradually erodes a person's sense of reality, to the point that they often become totally compliant with whatever the narcissist says. The truly insidious part is that narcissists often accuse you of gaslighting them, even though they are fully aware of who is manipulating whom. Number 4. Does your partner blame you for everything? A key feature of pathological narcissism is their inability to accept responsibility, or even recognize when they are at fault, and so they consistently shift the blame onto you. No matter how much they have to twist the reality, they will always make it your fault. You'll hear things like, "You made me hit you because you provoked me," or "I wouldn't act like this if you weren't so crazy, stupid, or wrong." They may say, "I had to cheat because you weren't meeting my needs," or "I lost my job because I was too worried about what you were doing." Even trivial issues become your fault, like being late, because you didn't wake them up. A pathologically narcissistic person excels at shifting blame, not only for their actions, but for every negative thing that happens in their life. The fact that none of these things are remotely your fault doesn't matter. Their warped thinking demands that someone must be punished for any wrong, and they refuse to let that be themselves. Narcissists are plagued by a harsh inner critic that constantly berates them, and they see projecting that punishment onto you as their only escape. A covert narcissist will often frame their blame as evidence that you are the one abusing, manipulating, or controlling them, even though they know it's not true. This deflection helps them avoid admitting that they are the abuser, manipulator, and controller. They cling to their victim image, because if that crumbles, this is something they fear that more than anything. When you finally react with anger to their constant cruelty and provocation, they'll twist the situation and claim that you're the abuser. You might hear statements like, "I'm sorry I'm not good enough for you," or "I'm sorry I spoke out of turn," designed to make it seem like you're the one oppressing them. Number 5. Does your partner try to control everything? Narcissists are extreme control freaks. They don't just want to control their environment and surroundings, but also everyone in it. They want to control everything about their partner, their thoughts, their feelings, their actions, their opinions, everything. For a pathologically narcissistic person, any expression of individuality from their partner feels like a rejection or a threat, so they try to stamp it out as quickly as possible. You may be told that your feelings are hurtful, your opinions deliberately oppose theirs, and your thoughts and actions are offensive or wrong. Everything you do is twisted into something negative, and your motivations are painted as manipulative, cruel, or abusive. The narcissist feels hurt or upset by anything that doesn't align with exactly what they want, and even when you do everything right, they may still decide that you're wrong, and punish you for it. By picking apart everything that makes their partner unique, the narcissist seeks total control over them. They may also use typical methods of control, found in abusive relationships, violence, dominance, fear, or tantrums. The covert narcissist uses all these tactics, but they may also control the appearance of things through neediness, clinginess, and insecurity. They might say things like, "I need to know where you are all the time, I worry too much if I don't," or "I can't handle you being upset with me, it breaks my heart." These statements appear needy, but they are actually manipulations designed to control their partner and dismiss their needs as unimportant. For example, "You're upset with me because I hurt you, but discussing what I did wrong is hurting me, and that matters more than how you feel." What initially appears as insecurity often reveals itself over time as sheer selfishness. Narcissists prioritize their own needs above all else, and use these tactics to evade guilt and blame. Consequently, you, the victim, are demonized and labeled as cruel for having feelings or for daring to call the narcissist out. Number 6. Does your partner believe everything revolves around them? Narcissists are utterly self-absorbed, to the point of being robotic or detached from normal human empathy. They cannot tolerate attention being directed away from them, even for a moment. If the conversation shifts away from them, they will either steer it back to themselves, or simply stop paying attention. They offer no comfort, sympathy, or support, and if you try to discuss your problems, they will either overshadow your concerns with their own issues, or accuse you of being self-centered. Similarly, any anger or negative feelings you express towards them are dismissed as attempts to hurt them, rather than being acknowledged as your genuine emotions. Narcissists don't recognize your feelings as real or valid, they only see them as existing to impact them personally. It's as if they believe they are the main character in a movie, where everything revolves around them. If their boss calls a meeting to address team issues, the narcissist believes it's actually to talk about them. If the landlord insists on a timely payment, the narcissist assumes it's because the landlord dislikes them. In their mind, everything that happens is connected to them in some way. This is why narcissists interpret everything you do as having the sole purpose of affecting them, whether positively or negatively. They don't see you, or anyone else, as an individual with your own needs and desires. Instead, they view people as mere extensions of themselves. For the narcissist, the world truly does revolve around them. It's their world, and everyone else is just living in it. Number 7. Does your partner feel entitled to whatever they want? Narcissists believe that they should have whatever they want regardless of whether they actually deserve it or not. They expect unconditional love, admiration, and respect, even though they are incapable of reciprocating those things to others. Their demands are endless, and they want their every wish, want, desire, and whim to be fulfilled without question. And if people don't acquiesce to their demands immediately, those people are labeled as abusive and unloving. For a pathologically narcissistic person, the line between want and need is totally blurred and inextricably confusing, leaving the narcissist with the feeling that they're being rejected and denied necessary sustenance even over the trivial things that are not even important. The narcissist doesn't care if money is needed for paying bills or for rents. They may spend the money recklessly on themselves, and if you try to stop them, they will react with anger or even physical abuse for daring to get in their way. Something as minor as being denied a bag of cookies can trigger a dramatic outburst, with the narcissist claiming that you're cruel, evil, and controlling for not letting them have what they want, that you are denying them, you are as usual forcing them to settle for less, because you want to oppress and control them. This entitlement is actually a way for them to control you. They use emotional or physical abuse to get their way, often creating chaos by overspending, or stirring up conflict, to keep the household in turmoil. Narcissists care nothing for the needs of others, their only concern is fulfilling their own desires. Narcissists are often serial cheaters, showing little concern for their partner's feelings, and focusing solely on their own desires. They may also be physically abusive, especially when their partner fails to meet their demands. Narcissists often create no-win situations, where their partner is set up to fail regardless of their actions. For instance, if a narcissist asks their partner to speak to a therapist, the partner faces a dilemma. If they comply, the narcissist may accuse them of trying to manipulate the therapist or undermine the therapy, and if they refuse, they are blamed for sabotaging the treatment by withholding crucial information. In either scenario, the partner ends up facing abuse for trying to meet the narcissist's demands. Narcissists see themselves as special and have specific ideas about what they deserve. It's common for them to refuse to help around the house, work, or do anything they consider beneath them, because they believe they shouldn't have to. They feel entitled to be catered to, and will label you as neglectful, abusive, or uncaring if you attempt to foster equality in the relationship. If they cannot have more than others, they feel deeply slighted and view it as a personal affront. Narcissists are not interested in equality or fairness. Their primary focus is on asserting their superiority, crushing others beneath their feet, and whatever else they can do that fills the void within themselves by diminishing others. Number 8. Does your partner seem to enjoy hurting you and ruining things for you? A distinct trait of pathologically narcissistic individuals is their apparent enjoyment in causing pain to others and destroying what others care about. Often, you can see a certain satisfaction and smirk on their face when they've done something especially hurtful. They seem to revel in the distress they cause, and take pleasure in the sense of power and control it gives them. This behavior is often the only thing that gives them a sense of gratification, making it unlikely that they will ever change. So, are you married to a narcissist? If you find yourself answering yes to all of these questions, it's highly likely you are living with a narcissist. Now, this is important, because regardless of what they tell you, things are not going to change, and it's not going to get any better. You need to accept this reality and prepare yourself for the ongoing abuse, if you choose to stay in the relationship. Whether they are a covert narcissist, a dominant overt narcissist, or a manipulative charmer, who claims they are controlling you for your own good, their behavior constitutes abuse. Hoping things will get better is futile. If you decide to stay, you'll need to accept this is your new normal. Even if they are not a pathologically narcissistic person, and your relationship is still unhealthy, consider your options moving forward. Ask yourself if you want to spend the next decade or more trying to please someone who will never be satisfied, and who does not value your feelings. That's not a fulfilling or healthy way to live. Remember, no one deserves to feel small or invisible in a marriage. If you're living in the shadow of someone else's ego, reclaiming your own voice and worth is the first step towards healing. So I hope this helps clarify things for you. Please remember to like and share this video, that really helps get the word out. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do, so that you can get notified about my new releases. As always, I welcome your comments, questions, and suggestions, so please keep them coming. I express my gratitude to everyone for tuning in and watching. Let us help spread the awareness and lead healthier and fulfilling lives.